All right, got a quick negotiation story for a set of tires, right? Not a big dollar item, but I think that the lesson that comes out of this is pretty applicable to life and the usual, what would you call it? It's like the rule of he who talks first loses, okay? So here's how it goes. I had a set of tires, put them up on Marketplace. There's a guy that was communicating with me, and he's like, yeah, let's go ahead and I'll come out and pick them up from you. Didn't talk about negotiating on price at that particular point or anything. So as I'm going through waiting for him to show up, making sure the product is good and clean, tires are well represented, tell him everything that's going on, give him tread wear ratings, and so give him opportunities to ask questions, okay? And if for some reason the item is not represented as it, you show up and it's not as it was represented online, then I believe in my mind you have the right to negotiate, okay? But I told him everything that was going on. He shows up, I take out the tires, and I'm assuming the sale at this point. I just, I hand them to him. I show him the imperfection in one. One had a plug, not a plug, but a patch right in the center of the tread, so it's an okay spot when you're dealing with used tires or even your own personal tires that are on your car. And no mention of price until he comes up and says, okay, so would you take $150? And I'm like, no, I won't take $150. It's $200 for these tires. I said, take them to the tire shop, mount them, you're good to go. And he looks at me and he says, you sure you won't take $150? And he kind of just stops and looks at me, gives me the eye. And I just give him the stare back, okay? Because what we're doing is we're employing this practice. He who talks first loses. All right? I said no. And then shut my mouth. Right? I said no, shut my mouth, and then he cracked. Okay? But then I went back and said, because I could sense in me that this guy probably had, because he had already had the money in his pocket, out of his pocket at that point, and he got a bunch of 50s. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll do 180 just because you're good for your word. He's like, oh man, all I got is 50s. Okay, I'll take 200 then. Shook his hand, closed the sale, have a nice day. I even helped him load into his van, and that's it. So the moral of the story is that you've got people that will try and test you. I don't negotiate online, man. I don't like doing that, okay? Unless it's a reasonable offer on something that is well represented. You're telling a good story as the salesman, which you should be. You should employ some integrity in your business. It's just one of those things, like, the Craigslist negotiators that are born, the internet negotiators. Hey, I'll give you $25 for those tires. Get out of here, man. You're not even getting an answer, right? So represent your product well, price it appropriately, cause it to sell. And also, here's a gold nugget for you. Understand that everything has a life cycle in sales. So a set of tires, I think it took me about 2 weeks to sell those tires. It's a pretty particular size on an 18-inch rim. And, houses take a certain time. Like you real estate agents and investors that don't know a 5-month market, like you got a rude awakening when the market does shift. But, as I'm looking at all this, it's just understand that everything has a sales cycle. Properly represent your product. Have a good reputation, right? That's golden as well. Have a good reputation, but that's only by representing your property or product appropriately and pricing it right. And don't try to make $1 out of 15 cents, whatever that means. Maybe one day it'll come to you in a dream. So, Dean Gazowski signing off. That's a quick sales story. He who talks first loses. And I hope you got something out of that one today.